God and serving God. And the questions really revolve around how do we come to know God? Not just know of God, how do we really get to know God? How do we feel God's love in our life, and how do we share that love with others? And then how do we bring that love out into the world so that we can serve God? And by serving God, we're serving others, and we're really doing what God has put us here to do. So that's kind of the background and basis for what we're doing. And today I have with me another special guest, because today I have with me Christina Nunno. Hi, Christina.
Hi, how are you?
I want to thank you so very much for being with us today, and kind of taking this opportunity to share some of your thoughts with us. What school do you go to now?
I graduated.
When?
So I graduated college in 2020, and then I did my master's in 2022.
Okay. So you have your master's.
I do.
Already?
I do.
How did you do that?
Well, we were at the last breakfast after mass, and someone was walking around with wine, and they came over and they're like, "Oh, you're not old enough."
Yeah.
I'm 26. I'm 26.
Well, you know what? But you look young. But I thought you were still in grad school. I really didn't realize that you were in grad school. What do you have your master's in?
So it's in health psychology,
Okay.
with a concentration in like neuroscience, neuropsychology. So that's what I was doing through grad school, and then about a year and a half afterwards. But I was working on a research study, which was great, except the research study ended, and then needed a new job.
Okay. So what are you doing now?
So I'm actually working in campus ministry now at Mercy Tech in Philly.
Okay. In your own faith journey, and I know you're young, not as young as I thought you were, but I know that you're young. How have you come to know God? How would you describe your faith journey so far?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I mean, I think my first understanding of God would have been within the context of family. And way back when I was, yay high, super little, I don't think I had the language to understand faith or to understand a faith journey, but I did know love, and I knew God's love through family. So that would be my first understanding of God's love. And then I attended Catholic school, and I was really, really blessed to be taught by wonderful teachers and sisters and priests, and so I think it developed, and I was taught about God, and being in an environment like that, both in school with my friends and at home, really solidified the foundation for me, and taught me, even without words, but just by actions and just by watching my parents or watching my teachers, realizing that your life isn't over here and your faith life is over here. It's all, it's all connected, and it is the foundation. And losing your faith is like losing a limb. So, and I think I understood that very early on, and I'm grateful for that foundation because it carried me through now into adulthood, and is the basis of how I live my life too.
That foundation that they provided, I mean, that's that great starting place, that great building block. But now as an adult, you're continuing to grow in your faith.
Absolutely.
What are some of the things that you do to keep your faith alive, to strengthen it, to deepen it?
Sure, absolutely. Well, it's always evolving. It's always changing, without question. Something that I might find incredibly helpful one moment might not be as helpful in the next moment. And I think what's so beautiful about our faith is that we have so many options and so many opportunities, and so many different people that we can turn to help us along that journey. So one of the things I love right now is adoration, benediction. To be in the presence of our Lord is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So sometimes I'll just stop at a chapel on my way home from work, and it's a beautiful centering opportunity. I never walk away wishing I hadn't walked in, or I always walk away with a lesson or with something that God was trying to teach me that I was too busy or too distracted to see before. I've recently started journaling again, and that has been also very, very helpful for me. To be honest, I have trouble sitting down and composing myself enough to start journaling. So that experience, though it can be difficult, is really, really fruitful because I write everything down, and then by the end of it, it's less about me writing and me writing what God wants me wants me to hear.
God seems to have drawn you into an environment in your work life right now where you have a great opportunity also to continue to strengthen your faith. Tell us a little about what you're doing.
Sure. So one of the pieces that has been really crucial for me is figuring out how I can live my faith and how I can be faith in an environment that sometimes is very supportive of it and sometimes isn't very supportive of it. And so it required a lot of prayer. It required a lot of reflection, a lot of conversations, really brutally honest conversations with God about it. And I think what I've come to realize is when I can't speak it, I can be it. So whether that is trying to be the love of God, whether that's trying to be the welcoming, supportive environment that God wants us to provide, I've learned that it is about the way that I live my life and not so much what I go around talking about, though helpful. And I look for those opportunities and I love those opportunities to talk about it, but that isn't always that isn't what's going to get the point across.
We know the statistics about Catholics and those who really are leaving the faith. Bishop Barron calls them the nuns, the Nones, those people who were Catholic and who now, if you ask what their faith tradition is, they will check the box that says none. It seems very, very hard to be able to remain a strong Catholic in this world that we live in today. Are there any things that you do, or is there any time that you feel that burden is really, really strong on you, okay, and you have to kind of counter it? How do you respond to the world and the reaction to you as a Catholic in the world?
Sure, it's tough. It's not an easy process. I think one of the things that I had learned in college that really strengthened and solidified my faith was that if I'm going to believe in something, and if I'm going to truly let it dictate how I live my life, I have to also know why I'm not doing this other thing. So it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but I kind of like to explore the other side too and say, okay, this is what I believe, and I know this is what I love and what I cherish, but I also need to examine this other side and try to understand where everybody else is coming from. And 10 out of 10 times I walk away still going back to my faith, but I have to understand where everyone else is coming from. And also I think it's who you surround yourself with. I've been really blessed to have a wonderful group of friends. We talk about our faith. We'll go to adoration together. We'll go to different church events together. And it's been really, really helpful because we're all relating to the same thing. We're all living in the same world, around the same age, dealing with the same type of challenges. So having those relationships and growing together in our faith is really, really helpful. And I'll text them, they'll text me, we'll call each other. It goes beyond just regular friendship.
Pope Francis, Pope Benedict, and the popes that have preceded both of them, especially probably in the last 50 years, have spent so much time speaking to us about evangelization, about sharing our faith. I mean, there's just been some wonderful documents that have come out from Pope Francis and Pope Benedict in particular, but again, more than that, where they're trying to help us understand as Catholics that it is our role, it is our mission to be missionary disciples, that we are to be people who go out into the world and spread our faith and share our faith and do it through words and through actions. I think that for us of the older generation, sometimes we have an easier time of it. Do you, as a Catholic, okay, in your age group, look at your role in evangelization as being something very, very important, something you need to practice strongly?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think that necessarily changes by generation. The modes that we accomplish that through probably will change. Even speaking just of my parents, my generation is much more involved on social media, and that can be an evangelization tool. That didn't exist when they were my age. So, but it is absolutely still there. I don't think if anything, the challenge of evangelization has grown and has become more important. But I don't think, speaking for myself, and also I would say speaking for my friends too, I don't think any of us think that we don't need to, be God for the world or anything like that. I think we're all kind of on the same page.
Great, thank you. Let's talk about God's love again for a moment, because I can really sense and hear your understanding of that love of God in your life. Are you able to identify a time or times that you actually felt God's love for you?
And I think that has to do with finding those moments, and because God is always reaching out to us. It's not like he only loves us when we feel it. So I think there are all those little moments, those little God winks that I like to call them, where we feel God's love. And there are also those bigger moments where you're on retreat, or you're having this really beautiful conversation, or even if it's in solitude and it's like a Lectio Divina or something like that, and you read something or you're journaling something and it's this aha moment. I think it's such a beautiful piece of our faith that not only is God seeking us out, God also puts that desire for him in our hearts. So I mean, it's impossible to ignore sometimes, when you really devote time and energy to finding where God is leading you.
Let's talk about the next progression of it. So we come to know God, and we come to feel God's love, and we want to share that love with others, and we want to serve God, and we do that by helping others. One of the things we're hearing about in today's culture is that people are spiritual. Right? I'm spiritual. I may not have faith, but I'm spiritual. And there's some truth to it, and I think we really have to have conversations with people about that. But one of the things that we find that always attract people to an understanding of God's love is when we help others. When people see someone in need, it's hard to not express your love for God and seeing God in them and wanting to help them. So within your generation, do you see a desire for people to want to help others? And is that a way that we can draw them into our faith by showing them how the Catholic Church is just the greatest help organization there is in the whole world?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. And I love that you spoke of the Catholic Church in that way. And I think it goes back to the question of why are we doing this? What are the motives? What are the motives behind it? Mm-hmm. I think there are absolutely hundreds of thousands of ways that we can reach out. I don't think any of those needs have gone away. I think they've only increased. I don't foresee them going away either. If anything, they've become both kind of a dichotomy, both more readily visible, but also harder to access. So I think it's being creative. I think it's finding those ways to reach out. And though I'm tempted almost not to say this, but even if it's not necessarily through a Catholic organization, like I think it was Pope Francis who talked about, admire the atheist who's performing good deeds out of the kindness of his or her own heart, because they don't have the God that's giving them direction, or they don't believe in the God that's giving them direction. And though I don't foresee ever becoming atheist, I think it is a beautiful reminder to think, okay, number one, why are we seeking out opportunities to help? Where is God leading us in those opportunities to help? And what are my personal motives? What's behind all of this? Am I doing it for show? Am I doing it to truly help? And if it's for show, it's probably not the most beneficial for the person on the other side. So I don't think those opportunities are going away anytime soon. I think we just need to be more creative in finding them and approaching them.
Makes perfect sense. A few moments ago, we spoke about those people leaving the Catholic Church. Bishop Barron, who I greatly admire, recently, along with the USCCB, did a study, and they came up with a couple of things. They said that we need to stop dumbing down our faith. We know young people are smart. One quote was, one of the speakers in a particular series says, "My son is 8 years old. He wants to know about the Big Bang. And he wants to understand God's creation through the Big Bang. We need to stop dumbing down the faith. We need to speak honestly, scientifically with young people." Does that make sense to you? Do you think that resonates with young people?
Oh, it absolutely does. And I think if we're dumbing down their faith, we're not exposing people to the beauty of it and the wonder of it. So I think we're almost doing the general population a disservice by dumbing it down, because we're not giving the Catholic Church the credit it deserves or the beauty it deserves, and we're not capitalizing on all of those aspects.
You said an important word. You said beauty. One of the other points in their study was that people come to their faith through different methods, and if we can bring science into the conversation, if we can bring beauty into the conversation, if we can bring social justice and social needs into the conversation, we can help people understand why their Catholic faith should mean more to them than they understand that it does. What do you think of those methods?
Oh, well, I think it's spot on. I don't think any of them are mutually exclusive. I don't think any of them are perfect in and of themselves. I think they build upon each other. And when we bring those into the Catholic Church and we look at the Catholic Church's perspective on each of those aspects, the Catholic Church doesn't deny any of them. It welcomes each and every one of them. So, I mean, I think it's a fantastic way to bring people into the church and to say, these aspects that you believe in are also believed by the Catholic Church. We're not, if you believe in science, we're not pushing you away at the door.
That's right.
So I think it's a marvelous way of showing people how comprehensive and how intelligent too the church can be, and how open to those different ideas the church can be.
I think you have a great ability to vocalize how intelligent the church is and how intelligent the church can be, because I think that the way you're able to speak about your faith, I think could open the eyes of a lot of people, and I think that hopefully those who will watch this will be able to hear what you said and say, you know what, that makes sense, and how can I share that with others? So I thank you for that. Anything else that you would like to share? Any thoughts that you have that you think are worthwhile sharing with those who might be watching this or listening to this in the future?
I think one of the scary but also beautiful pieces of our faith is that God is there regardless. So even when our faith feels dry or our faith doesn't come across in what we're doing, God is never not there, and I think there's a piece that falls on us, and in those situations we need to seek God a little bit harder. So that might look different. That might look like turning to scriptures a little bit more, spiritual direction, whatever the remedy to that might be. But I think expecting that faith is a journey, and it's a beautiful journey. It's a confusing journey. It's a messy journey, but it is a journey nonetheless. And it's not a journey where God is way down there. It's a journey that He's there every step of the way. So I have to remind myself of that too. If I had a really bad day at work, or if God is feeling particularly distant that day, it's not God's fault. It's usually my fault, and I need to do a little bit better or put a little bit of extra time into prayer.
Christina, I can't thank you enough.
Oh, you're so welcome.
I have to tell you, I think this was just absolutely awesome. Absolutely amazing. I am so jealous of youth right now. I wish I was your age so that I could be as vital in the world as you are.
Goodness.
So I thank you so very, very much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And I thank you for watching. I do hope that what we're doing through these videos just gives everyone the opportunity to just hear how other people have come to know God, how they continue to strengthen their faith, how they feel God's love, and how they bring that love out to the world through their words and through their actions, being missionary disciples, because that really is what we're called to do. So again, I can't thank you enough for being here. I hope we could talk again soon, and God bless you.